إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد. Inshallah, today we'll be discussing a reality of life that all of us need to understand. And it is related to our purpose in life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us to worship Him, but He has also created us to be tested. And we will be tested in different ways. So we're going to be talking about how we must deal with these tests, the hardships of life, the trials and tribulations that are going to come upon us. And we have to deal with them with a sabr, with patience. And what does it mean to have sabr? Now sometimes this gets directly translated to patience, but it's not just patience. For example, if you have a person who is going through hardships, through difficulties, and you hear him constantly complaining about his hardships to other people and being unsatisfied and just being unhappy with his situation and constantly complaining, could we say that this person is patient, he has sabr? No, we wouldn't. We would say that the person who is patient, the one who truly has sabr, is the one who endures the hardship, who has full trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who understands that eventually there will be ease. And no matter his situation, he is still grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to understand the hardships of life, the test of life that we all have to pass, and how we have to deal with this. What is the path to success to deal with these hardships? And that is through as-sabr, through having patience and perseverance in the face of these hardships and difficulties. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala multiple times in the Quran, He reminds us that the one who has sabr, the one who has patience and perseverance, he is the successful one. He is the one who will succeed in this life and the hereafter. And as we all know, the prophets are our examples. And they are embodiments of what it means to have sabr, what it means to have patience and perseverance and to still be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala despite the circumstances that they might be in. Now we look at the first example of our father Adam alayhi salam. He was the only human being to be created in Jannah, to be created in paradise, in the garden. He had experienced it. He knows what that next life is. He already knows the pleasures of Jannah, of paradise. Now imagine this example. Imagine if you have something great. Imagine you have an amazing mansion. Imagine you have amazing luxurious cars. You have your mansion on an island. And that gets suddenly taken away from you. And you still have those memories of that mansion. Wouldn't you struggle every single day? I had this. I once had this and I lost it. That's what Adam alayhi salam went through. Him and his wife, our mother, Hawa, they had seen the pleasures of paradise. And they were removed from paradise and put onto the earth because of their mistake. And subhanAllah, he had to live with this regret for 1,000 years. Imagine for 1,000 years living with the regret of what you did and what you lost because of your mistake. Yet he did not complain. He did not blame Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his mistake the way Shaitan did. He had sabr. He had patience. He was still grateful for what he did have. And he knew eventually if he persevered, if he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his mercy, if he lived his life for him, if he established humanity and civilization on earth as Allah commanded, eventually he will be successful. He had sabr. And for 1,000 years, he had sabr until his death. Now we'll go to the next example. Nuh alayhi salam. He was the first messenger. Before him, humanity had never even seen shirk, idol worship, worshipping of images, This was something new. Now imagine this, imagine what he dealt with. He knew he was a prophet. He knew he had the message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And imagine being chastised and villainized by your own people simply for calling towards Tawheed. And how long did he call towards Tawheed? 900 years. Close to 900 years he called his people towards Tawheed. He traveled the land finding humans and calling them towards Tawheed. And how many people accepted Islam? Only 80. Only around 80 people accepted the true message. Imagine what he went through. When we set out something in our minds to do, we might try over and over and over again. Eventually we'll get tired. We might try something for maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe 10 years. He tried for 900 years obediently. He did not complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He did not complain to the people. He fulfilled his obligation with patience and perseverance, with sabr. And we go on to the next example of Ibrahim alayhi salam. His life, entire life, was trial and test and hardship after hardship after hardship. From the moment he was a little child until his old age. He was an outcast amongst his people. Imagine being completely rejected by your people. Right now, we would like to think that if we were in his situation, we'd do the same. But imagine thousands of people on shirk and kufr and idol worship and one child alone. That was the example of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And he was punished by his people. They threw him into the fire. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewarded his patience. Even in that moment as a child, he had patience. He knew that he was upon the haqq. He knew that what he was doing was the right thing. And even if he's going to be plummeted into the fire, it's okay. He thought to himself he's going to be patient. Because the help of Allah will arrive. And subhanAllah, it did arrive. His patience was rewarding. And Allah saved him from the fire. Throughout his life, he had to move from city to city to city, preaching to people, similar to Nuh alayhi salam. And he had very few followers. Very few followers. Imagine being rejected your whole life. Imagine calling people towards the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and being rejected over and over and over again. And eventually the years of this hardship, it bore upon his life and it weighed him down. And when he got to old age, even before then, he had been praying for a son. He had asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he had made dua, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give me righteous offspring. Give me righteous children that will continue upon this mission that I'm upon. I need righteous sons to continue this. He made dua for decades. Imagine this. When we make dua for something, if it doesn't happen in 1 week, in 1 month, we get frustrated. We say, oh, why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not answering my prayers? I need my prayer answered right now. I need my prayer answered right now, this instant. Imagine making a dua every single day for 80 years. And finally, after 80 years of patience, 80 years of sabr, his dua was answered. And he finally got a son, Ismail alayhi salam, from his second wife, Hajar. And now, when the son is finally born, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him the command, take your second wife and your child, go south towards Mecca, and leave them in the desert. Subhanallah. Imagine being commanded this. And what did Ibrahim alayhi salam do? He was patient, he had sabr, and he was obedient. He obeyed his Lord. He knew that this is the path to success. To be patient no matter what tests, what hardships, whatever comes in your life, be patient, have sabr. Be grateful to Allah no matter what. Have trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala no matter what. Know that eventually, with hardship comes ease. Eventually, everything is going to be okay. And subhanAllah, after he had left this child, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved the child. He was rewarded for his patience again. Years later, he's commanded to sacrifice that very same child that he left in the desert. Subhanallah. Test after test after test. His whole life was full of tests and hardship. And that is the reason he is Khalilullah. He is the close friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. because he passed every single test with sabr, with patience, with perseverance. He knew that success was in being patient. He understood that this is my life, this is what I'm here for. I'm here to be tested. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to prove amongst the people who is the righteous person, who are the righteous amongst my slaves on this earth. And finally, we come to the example of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Arguably, he faced some of the most severe hardships that you can imagine. Our Prophet was born without a father. He was born a yatim. He did not even see his father. He never even seen his father. And imagine in this society if you didn't have a father, how hard it is now. Imagine then when tribalism is everything, when your lineage is everything, when your father is everything. Your father is your honor. If you don't have a father, you don't have honor and respect in society. He was born without a father. And as he grew up, when he reached the age of 6, his mother passed away. Imagine losing your mother at the age of 6. I can't imagine losing my mother now. Imagine a little child losing his mother. After he lost his mother, he came under the care of his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib. And at the age of 8, his grandfather died. And now, at the age of 8, 9, he has to work hard to sustain himself. Imagine an 8-year-old child having to learn how to shepherd, how to herd sheep, and he has to earn his own living. 8-year-old children, imagine an 8-year-old child right now. Can you imagine him working hard for his own sustenance? And after this struggle, when the prophethood was revealed to him, his struggles got even more severe. And this is part of the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevates his favorite slaves. That he tests them in this life. He makes them go through hardship in this life so that they can be raised to a higher level in the next life. On Yawm al-Qiyamah in Jannah, he will be raised to the highest level there is amongst the creation. Once he became a prophet, he was despised by his people, by the kuffar. They rejected him. They mocked him. They persecuted him and his followers. Imagine having to see your followers tortured in front of your eyes. Imagine having to see them killed in front of your own eyes. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when he used to be in sujood, they would dump animal carcasses on top of him. And the people of Taif, when he went to preach to them, they sent little children to throw stones at him. And he bled so bad from the stoning that he blacked out. And his feet and sandals were filled with blood. This is the greatest man to ever live. The favorite slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and look at the hardships that he had to endure. Look at what he had to go through and compare that to our lives. What do we have to endure compared to what he did, what the prophets did, what the Sahaba did? And on top of that, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had 4 daughters and 3 sons. Only one child survived him. He had to bury 6 of his own children. Imagine this. Imagine burying one child, that you outlived one of your own children. He outlived 6 of them, and he buried them himself. 3 of them baby boys, infant boys. And imagine when one of his baby boys passed away when he was in Mecca, in the early stages of Islam. And imagine your baby son just died in your house, and your enemies are outside parading and celebrating. That is what our Prophet had to go through. He had to endure that level of hardship where his enemies are celebrating his infant child's death. They're celebrating. It's a day of celebration. Muhammad's son passed away. Subhanallah. Imagine the pain. He was a human being. He had feelings. Imagine what he felt when he went through all that. But subhanAllah, why is he our example? Because he endured. He had sabr. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to show us, his ummah, he wanted to show humanity that look, even my beloved slave Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, look at the hardships that he's going through. So no one can complain, oh, the Messenger of Allah didn't go through any hardship. He did. He did. He went through hardships that we can't even imagine. We can't even imagine to bear these things. And compare that again. This is a time of reflection. Why has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given us the lives of the prophets in the Quran? Why? They're not just entertainment. They're not entertainment. They're there for us to reflect, study their lives, understand what they went through. And whenever we feel hardship, we're supposed to look to them for inspiration, to know that human beings better than us have went through things worse than us. We have to understand that the only path to success is through sabr, is through having full trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to continuing pushing forward, continue to persevere and push forward no matter what, because in the end, with hardship comes ease. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. My brothers, after just going through a few examples of the prophets, may peace and blessing be upon them, we have to understand, first and foremost, that right now on this earth, there are Muslims who are being tested similarly, not on the same level, but similarly to the way that the prophets were tested. In Palestine, in Syria, in East Turkestan, in China, Muslims are being tested in a way we can't imagine right now. Imagine being killed and whipped just for saying La ilaha illallah. In front of their eyes, the Mus'haf, the Quran, is being disrespected. Subhanallah, they have to go through so much vulgarities. And that's their test. They are being tested with hardship. Subhanallah, they are being tested the way the Anbiya were tested. And if they pass that test, they will be resurrected on that level, inshallah. But compare that to our situation. My brothers, we are being tested with ease. Can we even compare our day-to-day struggles with what they're going through? No, we can't. We can't. We live like kings. We live like emperors. The poorest amongst us lives like a king. Pharaoh, Alexander, Caesar, these men, these kings of the past, they couldn't even imagine the luxuries that we have today. We have clean running water whenever we want. We have hot water on demand. Anytime we want, we have hot water. We have the ability to freeze and store our food for days and weeks. We have the ability to call our loved ones and communicate with them within seconds, no matter how far they are. We have medical technology that has made the most severest of diseases seem like child's play. Subhanallah, they couldn't even imagine these luxuries. We live like kings, and no doubt, we are being tested with ease. So even while being tested with ease, if we still can't be patient, if we still can't have sabr, then what will become of us in the next life? What will become of us? Each person is tested differently. SubhanAllah, the people in Palestine and Syria and all those places, if they're just patient, if they have sabr, they're done with that test. They're going to go to Jannah Firdaus, inshallah. But what about us? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask us, I gave you so much ease. I gave you knowledge at the palm of your hands, yet you still didn't seek it. I gave you opportunities to spread my deen, to fulfill your purpose in life, yet you still couldn't do it. What's our patience? What's required for us? What's sabr for us? Sabr for us is to avoid some of the major sins around us. Sabr for us is to avoid the nightclubs and the drugs and all the haram activities around us. That's sabr for us. Compared to sabr for the people who are struggling. They have to endure their family members being killed and tortured in front of their very eyes. Tell me, what test would you rather have? Being tested in a Western country with any luxury that you can imagine. All we have to do is pray 5 times a day. We have to fulfill the obligation of Islam. We have security. We have safety. We have everything we want. Would you rather have this or be tested the way they're being tested? None of us. None of us would want to be tested the way they're tested. None of us would want to be tested the way the Anbiya were tested. So the purpose of their stories, and the situation of our brothers is to understand that if they can be patient, then how can we not be patient? How can we not have sabr? How can we not have shame of missing out on our obligations of Islam? We miss out on daily prayers when there's Muslims fighting for prayers across the world. We have to be patient. We have to know that this is a test. This life is a test. And the only way towards success is to follow the examples of the prophets, to follow the examples of the best Muslims who ever lived, and to have sabr, to have perseverance, to be grateful no matter what. No matter what. The takeaway is, going forward, no matter what inconvenience may come in our life, we are in the top 1% of humanity ever. Out of all humans who have ever existed, we live the most luxurious lives that we can imagine. And in that state, if we can't be patient, then we won't be successful. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who have sabr. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us, to forgive us, to put us upon the straight path. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to ease the situation of the Muslims around the world, wherever they're being persecuted, wherever the Muslims are in danger, wherever they're in harm's way. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant them victory, to grant us strength, to unite us upon Tawheed, to unite us upon the Haqq. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to resurrect us behind the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and to allow us to enter Jannah right behind him, right in his footsteps. Ameen. Wa aqimus salat.